What's going on, everybody? It's October 3rd, 2022, daily episode 21. Today we're going to cover US 500 and the price action that unfolded. I made a community tab post earlier that there was a beautiful model today on the 1 minute, probably 2 minute, 3 minute as well. I'll go ahead and cover that today. I unfortunately missed the move. It's just one of those days where I was just off on my overall directional bias. I'll explain some things where potentially I could have done better, and going further, what I could learn from the situation. Overall, I mean, I didn't take any trades, didn't take a loss, didn't take a win, so it's just one of those days where you miss a move and you just have to move on with it and learn from it. So let's go into the weekly chart because I think this is pretty interesting and something to note for us. So we went ahead and last week we ran out the sell side liquidity. I noted that we have a volume imbalance here. So in between here and then the fair value gap bearish. I would like to see price just to get above this high here to set the high of the week and then see the rest of the week continue bearish. We have NFP on Friday. So per rules of ICT, we do not trade after Wednesday New York session. Me personally, I've seen that there is some decent price action on Thursday, and Friday is usually pretty unpredictable with NFP, so I really do like to stay out of that. The only way I'd really even trade Thursday is if I saw a really, really nice move, but hopefully tomorrow we can catch something. But it just is another log for me, especially if I caught the move today. Mondays have been really, really nice, man. I mean, if this is the way it's going to be, I would I'd be very content and happy. I would love to be able to capture my weekly profit on a Monday and be done for the week. That would be the ultimate goal and obviously like a trader's dream. But let's go into the daily chart here. So daily time frame, we took out the sell side liquidity, took out the low here, and we've just been running down lows. I initially really didn't believe we were going to be anywhere near bullish just because we reacted off this fair value gap and we're heading lower. Now, not to mention, there is a new monthly candle, so we have to watch for PO3. So especially this week is crazy, not only to do with NFP, but because of the new monthly open, and that can create a lot of volatility, creating the high and the low of the month right off the bat. So we're residing inside of this monthly fair value gap. I don't believe this is bullish by any means, but we are having a bullish reaction off of this. Daily time frame, coming into today, looking at New York session, I was still short overall. Going down to a 4-hour time frame. This is where gears started to change for me. We started to really, on the 1 hour, I'll go into it, but we started to just push our way up into here. And I saw these relative equal highs, so the buy side liquidity resting here. That was my main focus for New York session. And I even tried to, even after I missed the original entry I'll show, I was still trying to find an entry, not chasing it. I was just trying to find a good entry for us to get above the buy side liquidity. I was actually looking at the 1 hour for value gap. There's a 30-minute, 15-minute, and a 5-minute all in the same area. So I was looking for price to kind of dip down into that before we expanded higher, but we just left that open and ran higher. I mean, we got a little bit underneath, but not enough for me. So, like I said, it's just one of those days where you miss the train and you just know in the back of your mind that these things repeat every single day, every single week. And that will really help with your FOMO if you have that. Just understand that this stuff literally repeats every single day. I'm not missing anything. How could I miss something if I never had it? Makes sense? So let's go into what happened today. I'll actually go down to a 1 minute. So this was very, very nice. And this was right at the open. And I knew, even looking at if we go out to a 15-minute, I want to show this for an example. I'll do a replay button. You could just tell that this was not the top here, nor was this, to me, and maybe this is just experience. This is a market maker buy model as well. But besides that point, you could just see that price was dropping down extremely fast to entice sellers, and this just didn't seem like a top to me. It didn't seem like this was going to be a relative shorting position. So off the context that we ran out the sell stops here, so that's one part of our higher time frame model. Ran out sell stops, we displaced higher, and if you look here, what happened during after midnight here, we set the low of the day by running out sell stops here, and then we came into this fair value gap here. So this was a really nice trade if you're trading during the nighttime coming into the morning session. I'm not saying that you should, but this is a good indication if you're looking at, this is something for me, my studying, looking at what happened overnight, because that can kind of give you a idea of, okay, where is price going? So we set the low of the day after the midnight. So low of the day is set, ran out sell stops on a higher time frame, and then even on a lower time frame, we run out sell stops. Is really good to see, reacting off of bullish PD arrays, expanded higher. Now, if we dive down into a 1 minute here, ultimately what I would say today for me, I was just unsure of the bias, and that made things very hard for me to read. And what's funny about it, I wish I kept my recording going, because I usually record my morning sessions like what I'm thinking, and I shut it off probably like 10-15 minutes before. But this was right before news, right at 8:59. So right at 9 a.m. was the news embargo lifted. And I said to myself, right when this was dropping down, I said, I should probably buy this. And I said it out loud to myself. And then I literally watched the next candle open and rip 20 points higher. And I was like, well, I just missed the move. I was like, it is what it is. So the context of this trade is we ran out sell stops. We're in a bullish environment, so you want to see sell stops ran. So you have underneath all of these lows. It's not just this one in particular. So underneath this low here, this low here. So we run out all of these sell stops. Price displaces higher. Now you're waiting for that discount price. So you're looking for price to drop beneath the equilibrium into a discount. I look for that fair value gap. So you have the fair value gap here. And right underneath that fair value gap, you have an order block. So these two down close candles here, I'll just note the high of it. So you have your bullish order block here, this down close candle and this down close candle, two consecutive down close candles, your fair value gap inside of a discount, your overall bullish, looking for the buy side liquidity to be ran above these relative equal highs were my overall drawn liquidity. So these are relative equal. And I wouldn't have held this all the way to that target regardless. I mean, you guys know my my criteria. If I was to enter into this trade, I would add my stops beneath here, and I probably would have been targeting right above this high here for 20 points, and then leaving a runner on for potentially 30. If I can, obviously leave maybe 10-15% of the position on, I could have done that and just held to the buy side liquidity. And let's see what else here. So after we had this nice displacement higher, I was really looking at this 15-minute fair value gap. You see I've still marked up. I was looking forward to drop down into that right after lunch to take out the morning session lows here that were created. I was looking for that drop down into the fair value gap, into that discount, and then for us to expand higher into the buy side liquidity. I had a limit set here. It was right about 25%. My stop run underneath the fair value gap here, and price just ultimately, once it got above this high here, I just canceled the limit and just let price trade up into it. Now you could say, why didn't you get into here? To me, that's all chasing. There's no context here. There's nothing in here that would have qualified me to get into the trade, right? There's nothing really nice or symmetrical or discount or any nice fair value gaps to really get into a position. So just one of those days where you have to accept that you missed the trade and you move on. That's a good learning experience. I know the old self of me would have been extremely mad or upset that I missed that. And that could have led into, if you watched my video yesterday, that could have led into mistake tilt, which if you dive deep into mistake tilt, you find the root cause most of the time is you are looking for perfection, which you can't obtain. It's literally impossible. You can't obtain perfection. So once you understand that root cause, everything can kind of simplify itself. So I think that's going to be it for today. What I'm looking at going into tomorrow, I'm going to be looking at the buy side liquidity resting here to be taken out. 4 hour fair value gap plus a buy side liquidity. If we can run above that, that would be awesome. We have the busy here, or fair value gap here, that we could dip into to send price higher. Now, like last week, if we trade through this during overnight, if we trade right through this fair value gap, then obviously we're not bullish anymore, and we'll be looking for possible lower prices. But looking at the structure and everything, I do believe we are going to continue higher, at least into the buy side liquidity here, which is 37.37. And after that, I'll start looking at other points of reference. But for right now, I just want to keep that target close. I don't see anything else in here that I would really want to target besides buy side liquidity resting here. But let's just focus on this for tomorrow. The only way this would be invalid, like I said, is if we trade through this fair value gap here. This is the last point for me to be bullish. If we trade through this fair value gap, then obviously we're going to start looking at the sell side liquidity resting here and here. Nothing to note really on the daily too much. Maybe just watch the opening of this down close candle here, maybe the equilibrium of the wick. That's maybe a point of reference for me as well. So that's going to be it for today, you guys. And till tomorrow, good luck and good trading.